Part 27. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 261. Chapter 261, 261, Divide Things. The three of them stayed in the room all day and didn't even bother to eat lunch. You said you kid, you locked yourself in a room for a day. If your brother and the others hadn't told me that you weren't out, I would have gone out to look for you. Shen Yun pulled Xiao Banqi and Shen Hong out together. Only then did I realize that a large family was at the door, very anxious. What's going on? Shen Hong scratched his head and asked in confusion. What's wrong? We almost tore down the door outside and you didn't hear anything, right? You're such a reliable brother. If you don't eat, you don't even think about whether Yunyun and Jinlong want to eat. Shen Chen said. As big brother, I was given a lesson when I came up. Shen Hangsun was stunned for a moment. He really didn't hear any sound inside. It's not the fourth brother's fault. It's me who placed the ban. My fourth brother and I were studying something in the room. We didn't want to be disturbed, so we forgot to tell you. Shen Yun explained, and she also heard the ban. The movement, but it was the critical moment, so I didn't care. However, the family members should also get used to the situation. After all, as the cultivation level increases in the future, it will be common for them to practice in seclusion. It's okay, it's okay. That woman is gone. Don't be angry, kid. Mom just said, you are always the most important. I won't see Momo anymore. Yang Kankan thought it was this. He came over and held Chen Yun's hand and wouldn't let go. Mom, it's not because of this matter. If you want to see it, go and see it. Am I still jealous of this matter? How old am I? Shen Yun said with a smile. You are still a child no matter how old you are. It was my mother's fault. Now everyone is living well. She can only live a better life in the Ji family. I don't need to worry about her life. Now you are the only one under my control. Yang Kankan seemed like after thinking about something, he stared at Shen Yun. Okay, Mom, it's up to you. I won't force you to do this, but I'm really not happy that you want to see her. Yang Kankan stared at this daughter who rarely showed her little daughter's state, and was filled with sadness. He had just said that he wanted to see Momo, so this girl must have felt bad, but he was embarrassed to say that he should pay more attention to his own children in the future. Momo's current life is her own choice, so she shouldn't have to worry about her. Okay, don't go and watch. Come out quickly. Mom made delicious food. Let's take Jinlong to eat some. The kids are all here. They haven't eaten at noon. What should I do if I get hungry? Yang Kankan took Shen Yun's hand and directly stayed towards the restaurant. As for Shen Hong next to him, he had already been pulled aside by his brothers for questioning. It's really not that I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it until Yunyun agrees. Shen Hong was suppressed by his brothers and wanted to show off his space ring, but after thinking about what Shen Yun said, he didn't dare to let it out now. I am not afraid that my family will be exposed, but I am afraid of bringing danger to my family. What exactly is going on? Don't be stupid. If it's such a harmful thing, you can't hide it from us. Several people explained in a low voice, suppressing Shen Hong. I don't know this yet. You are such a big man, I will definitely hide anything from you. Shen Hong nodded quickly and escaped from the oppression of everyone. Shen Yun didn't care what they said. This time Yang Kankan had already brought him to the dinner table. In a short time, the bowl was filled with his favorite vegetables, while the little one next to him only got a bowl of steamed egg custard. Eat quickly, the temperature is just right. Good boy, Jinlong. You are still young. It is not good to eat too much of these things. Egg custard is very nutritious. Yang Kankan watched the two of them not moving and urged her. She also raised 3 children. Knowing what is best for a child as big as Jinlong to eat. What else could the two of them say? They could only hold the bowls and eat. Ahem, Yun, my brother and the others want to know what we are doing in the room after dinner. Shen Hong came to Shen Yun and whispered. The people next to him were cultivators. This whisper could not be hidden from everyone. Hearing when Shen Hong said this, everyone looked over. There's nothing that can't be said. Shen Yun wiped his mouth and placed a ban on the room. Fourth brother, please take out the things and demonstrate them to everyone. Hey, Shen Hong heard what Shen Yun said and immediately took out the ring he had hidden. Watch it. He took a cup from the table, put it in, and took it out. Everyone saw the cup disappear and reappear, and everyone's eyes widened. This is magic, Shen Chen said hesitantly. Could it be that these two people have been studying this thing in the room all day? They are indeed very smart. He didn't see it at all. How this thing disappeared and appeared, could it be an advanced deception? What kind of magic, big brother? Don't even think about what we do. This is the legendary mustard space, and this is mine. Shen Hong happily popularized with a few ignorant people around him what the purpose of this thing is. When everyone heard this, they thought, isn't this a must-have item for home travel? It will make it easier to carry luggage when going out in the future. With this item, you won't be afraid of being seen by others when you go out to get some good things. The eyes of several people suddenly became hot, and they looked at Shen Hong with envious expressions. Don't be envious. I have two more here. Let's see how they are divided. Don't worry, you will get good jade in the future. Everyone in the family will have it. Shen Yun looked at several people who were envious, but no one opened their mouths to ask for it. Open on the side. Really, several people couldn't sit still anymore and stood up and gathered around. The little one next to them looked at the small ring in the space in Shen Hong's hand and ran to the side to play with it uninterested. He has a space as big as Fenjiao. How can he look at such a small mustard space? Even Shen Yun's space is tens of thousands of times larger than this. These humans are making a fuss. Shen Yun didn't do any ink, and directly took out the other two rings. These two are 10 cubic meters in size, relatively small. You can decide how to distribute them. Everyone is not in a hurry when they see something. The people next to them are all their brothers. Although it is said that there will be more in the future, it is not certain when. Let me just say one thing, I will be cheeky about these three rings. Each of the three families will use them first. This is how we take advantage. What do you think? Shen Chen, as the eldest brother, stood up and said. I have no opinion, Shen Yun said first. The other people had no objections and all nodded along. We'll take this one, Shen Hong, and give the other one to Shen Hong. Shen Chen directly decided on the person. Shen Hong is the second uncle's family here. Shen Jian is not awake, and Shen Yu is too young. Although the strength is very strong, but I am really afraid that he will be in danger if he is allowed to take this thing. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 262. Chapter 262, 262, Sister, I want that thing. Okay, Shen Yun simply handed out the things. As for his own one, he handed it directly to Yang Can. Yun, you should keep this thing. Mom doesn't go out much, so it's really useless. Yang Can quickly declined. Take it, it depends on whether you use it or Dad, I want this thing for no use. Shen Yun gave it to her directly. Shen Hong saw that everything was in his hands, and he quickly shared with everyone how to identify the owner of this thing. Without much effort, Shen Hong's ring was successfully identified as its owner. Things are good things, but after they come out of this door, only people in our family can know about them. This thing is not common in the market. If someone wants to seize the treasure, it will be a threat to your life and safety. We will wait for you in the future. There are more materials and more things can be refined. This is no longer rare, so there is no danger, Shen Yun explained to everyone. Don't worry, brothers are not stupid. They know what can and cannot be said. You two should also be careful when using it so that no one sees it, Shen Chen told his two younger brothers. Don't worry, brothers Shen Hong and Shen Hong both nodded. Both of them had experienced the incident, they were not ignorant kids. As for Yang Can, he is an elder and is listening nearby. He is definitely not as reckless as these boys. The novelty of the few people hadn't worn off yet, so they ran to their rooms to study, leaving Chen Yun and Xiao Bengqiao alone in the room. Shen Yun looked at the little Banqi who was bored. He looked a little bored. Let's go, I will take you out to play. Shen Yun looked at the little Banqi and said. Really, let's go. Although Xiao Bengqiao has inherited the memories of his parents, he really doesn't know as much about the world as Chen Yun. He was frightened by Shen Yun when he came out last time. He has been docile these days. This time, hearing Shen Yun talk about going out to play, he became as excited as a child. Shen Yun reflected on whether he had corrected his past. Thinking about the spiritual energy in this world that has revived, ghost kings and drought demons can appear, who knows if there are any 1,000-year-old monsters hiding in that corner. Although Xiao Bengqiao is a phoenix, but his cultivation level is still very low, and he is full of treasures, but some monsters may not notice the pressure of the phoenix and directly capture the little jumper. Mom, brother, we are going shopping, Shen Yun greeted, and when the people inside responded, he directly pulled the little jumper and walked out. After a while, several people followed him. Third aunt is resting at home, and we just wanted to go out for a walk. We have been out for such a long time, and we haven't really done much shopping in Beijing, Shen Hong explained. All right, just follow. The capital city looks much more prosperous at night than before. With the appearance of the light curtain, a large number of cultivators approached the capital city this year, and the market became more prosperous. Not long after they went out, they saw a bustling small street. I have passed by here often before, but I have never come here to take a look, Shen Chen sighed. In the past year, he often came back from work in the middle of the night and was still in a hurry. Today is the first time he came here. Food and drink are sold here, and Shen Yun even saw a few cultivators setting up stalls with some spiritual plants. It was too old and not worth much money, but looking at the extravagance that the man said, plus the small flames and small water created by the opponent, can also fool some ordinary people. A few people walked around, but no one said anything about buying anything. They were all short of money. Go home. Let's come over for shopping in a few days. Brother will buy you delicious food. Then Shen Chen wiped his face. A group of grown men took their little sisters out to play, but they couldn't get a penny out. Now, there is no room for this face. Okay, I just came out for a stroll. I didn't want to buy anything. If you don't want to go shopping, then go back first. Shen Yun waved her hand, but she didn't think much about it. Shen Yun continued to wander. This time she has arrived at the stall area, and there are quite a few cultivators setting up stalls around her. Low-level cultivators do not have an idea and still need to continue eating, so it is not difficult to understand the current situation. Shen Yun looked at it casually. Sister, I want that thing. The little Banqi who had been bouncing around now made a sound, and Shen Yun looked at his little hand. A few fist-sized stones, dark red, look nothing special, but you can feel a faint heat. This stall is a little hotter than the nearby stalls, and the stall owners next to it are a little away from here. Shen Yun walked over calmly, but out of the corner of his eye he caught sight of a bunch of thread-like things next to him. Boss, how do you sell these things? Shen Yun fiddled with the things on the stall casually. The stall owner was a middle-aged man with a second level of Qi training. He looked unshaven, with red eyes and a tired look on his face. When he heard Shen Yun's question, he quickly moved the things in front of him enthusiastically. Boss, which one do you want? Each of these plants costs 500 yuan, and each stone costs 1000 yuan. If the boss wants both, he can give you a cheaper price. He wiped his sweat to the other party and did not forget to introduce it. Where do these things come from? Shen Yun asked casually while looking at them. Don't worry, I dug this all by myself in the mountains. I got it legally. I risked my life in a volcanic crater to get the stone. The man waited for Shen Yun and the others all night. This would exhaust himself. All vocabulary is introduced. That's all you have. You dug up all the plant seedlings. The price is so expensive. Isn't it unreasonable? Shen Hong and the others were stunned when they heard this. This really dares to ask for a price. Just these few things. You can't buy something like this for tens of thousands. Is it so easy to make money now? Tomorrow they will go dig grass in the mountains. You can't say that. These are good things. Don't you feel that my place is a little warmer? The man suddenly became anxious when he heard what Shen Hong said. I only want these 8 stones. How much can I sell them for? Shen Yun asked directly. 8,000 yuan, you give me 7,800. The stall owner quoted the price at once, then took out a bag from his pocket and quickly put the stones in it. Shen Chen and the others looked at each other from behind. This small amount of 10,000 yuan is not a small amount. No, boss, please give it cheaper. What kind of stone does it cost? This is the only price. If you really don't want it, forget it. The stall owner looked at the people behind Shen Yun and said hesitantly. Boss, please build something for me. Give me this ball of thread. I can sew some clothes when I get home. Shen Yun casually pulled the ball on the stall and directly took out the large ball. The thread was brought over. The boss pretended to hesitate for a moment, but in fact he was happy inside. These were the things he saw on the mountain. He thought they were not useful things and got them down easily. He didn't feel bad at all that this would be used as a pickup. He hesitated for a while, then nodded reluctantly. Okay, I'll give it to you. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 263. Chapter 263, 263, Your pocket is cleaner than your face. It's done, then the next thing is money. Shen Yun, who had an empty pocket, turned to look at Shen Hong, who was looking aside. Fourth brother, the man eating snail noodles at the stinky tofu stall just now, could you please go over and buy it for me? He's my colleague. I have some business to discuss with him. Fortunately, when Shen Yun was shopping, he glanced around and saw an acquaintance. Okay, Shen Hong responded directly. He had met several of Shen Yun's colleagues. Since he was asked to come over, he must be someone he knew. Do you want more? The stall owner had already put everything into the bag diligently, but seeing that the people across from him had no intention of paying, he couldn't help but ask one more question. If you want to ask for it, don't you ask people to collect money? We can't bring so much money when we go shopping, Shen Yun said quickly. She is probably the only one who started buying things when she had no money. Take out whatever money you have in your pocket. Shen Chen also began to urge his younger brothers beside him. The brothers chipped in and scraped together 1 yuan and 50 cents, which was a drop in the bucket. It was so far behind that Shen Chen was too embarrassed to hand it to Shen Yun in front of him. No more. Several people looked at Shen Chen and stared at them. They took out all the bottoms of their pockets. Their pockets were cleaner than their faces. Ahem, that's it, brothers really can't help much. Shen Chen could only go over and explain the situation to Shen Yun. It's okay, don't worry, there will be money. Shen Yun is not in a hurry. There are a lot of good things in her space. The money is not a problem, but she didn't find time to exchange it for money in the past. This time she will need money. It was just a little troublesome. Okay, okay, I really don't have the money, so I don't want this thing. If you like this thing, our brothers will go to the mountain to find it for you tomorrow. Okay, Golden Dragon, Shen Chen whispered to the two people. Shen Yun nodded, turned around and looked behind him. The smelly person had already come over. At this moment, Liang Shan is not as serious as when he went to work during the day. He is wearing a floral shirt and trousers. It is impossible to imagine that this person is a slightly serious supervisor during the day. It's a coincidence that I meet you here. Why, what do you want from me? Liang Shan swallowed the food in his mouth and glanced at it. He couldn't understand the formation. This was when he encountered a strong man. Buy and sell by force, otherwise what will happen to you if you come to find me? Boss, please wait a moment. I'll have a few words with my friend first. Shen Yun greeted the stall owner and walked directly to the side with Xiao Bengqiao. I want to do business with you. I wonder if you or your family are interested. Shen Yun directly set a ban next to the two people and said straight to the point. What business? Liang Shan was immediately interested. A foundation building pill. I wonder if you are interested. Shen Yun thought about it and started practicing as soon as he could get home, as well as the materials. I'm interested. Do you have it? What's the price? Liang Shan really became serious now. Although he doesn't need it anymore, he has a lot of people in his family. Being promoted to foundation establishment earlier will also be a boost to his family's strength. Ascend, and if you reach foundation establishment, you will have 200 years of life. Who doesn't want this? You can tell me a price. I'm embarrassed to do this at first. This is different from Zhangmin's business negotiation. After all, he was negotiating with his cousin. I only have 10,000 yuan of private money. What do you think? Liang Shan thought, it was just a colleague and it was not easy to trick others, so he just gave up all his assets in exchange, although he still got an advantage. Okay, I want you 8,000, don't negotiate the price with others. Shen Yun nodded, just solve the current matter, don't ask for more. Happy, it looks like I can go to the night market a few more times. Let's go get the money. My house is nearby. Liang Shan agreed immediately without bargaining. Shen Yun lifted the restriction and said, Boss, take your things and let's get the money. What are you? Liang Shan raised his eyebrows. Buy something. It's nothing. Shen Yun was too embarrassed to say that he had no money to buy things, so he came up with this idea on the spur of the moment. Okay, Liang Shan was not a fool. If he hadn't come over to visit the night market when he had nothing to do, he wouldn't have had such a good thing. Now he had an excuse to go home. Let's see if they would stop him from going out in the future. Liang Shan's house is indeed not far away. They live not far from the house where Shen Yun and others live. The stall owner followed him suspiciously. If he didn't really need the money, he really wouldn't dare to come over. If he didn't get the money by then and lost the things in his hands, he would be in a big loss. But after looking at a few, when a person actually takes someone to a place, he feels relieved a lot. Would you like to come in and sit for a while? This is my own place. I usually live alone. Liang Shan invited warmly. No, let's wait here. My family lives nearby. Come over when you have time. Okay, I'll get you some money. Liang Shan turned around and entered the room, and soon came out with the money. Here you go, this is just right. Shen Yun knew how much money was in it with just one glance. He took out 200 from it and gave the rest to the stall owner. You can order some. Okay, the stall owner saw that Shen Yun and the others had actually brought the money, and he excitedly put the things on the ground and started counting the money. After understanding the situation, he immediately handed the things to Shen Yun. The money and goods have been cleared. You are welcome to continue to visit in the future. After saying that, he quickly left the place with the money and the remaining things. Here you go, foundation establishment pill. Don't worry, it's real at this time. Shen Yun also took out the foundation establishment pill that he had just prepared. Don't you and I still believe it? I've heard about the Elixir Research Institute. Yesterday I heard Yan Han talking about asking you to come over again. Liang Shan directly collected the elixir without even looking at it. Stand up. I'll go over there when I'm done with my work these 2 days. Okay, thank you tonight. If you need anything next time, don't be polite. Shen Yun plans to go back now to see what he spent so much money on. Okay, I won't be polite, so I won't leave you alone. The group of people parted ways directly in front of Liangshan's house. Shen Yun and the others went home, but Liangshan didn't enter his house and turned around and walked in another direction. Yun Yun, what exactly did you spend so much money on? After walking out for a while, Shen Hong asked Shen Yun curiously. Ask him. Shen Yun pointed at the little jumping dog in Shen Chen's arms and said. What can he understand as a child? I know, that's the fire spirit crystal, it's delicious. Xiao Bengqiye didn't want to be ignored by Xiao Qiao, so she said it directly. Hey, you really know? Several people looked at Xiao Bengqi. Xiao Bengqi raised his chin and said, of course, this is all trivial. Several people were amused by his small appearance. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 264. Chapter 264, 264, Tired. Mom, can these threads be used to weave cloth for me? After returning home, Shen Yun ignored the people who were studying the stones and directly found Yang Kankan with the silk threads. Yang Kankan took the thread and looked at it. It's okay, but my craftsmanship is not very good. Your thread looks of good quality, so I'm afraid I'll ruin it. It's okay. This is just for practice. I don't worry about weaving for others. This is spider silk. When woven into cloth, it can not only be made into robes, but also a good material for storage bags. Shen Yun had a headache before. This solves the problem of materials. There are not many of them, so I don't know how big a piece of cloth can be woven. Okay, since you left this matter to me, let me take care of it. When they return to their hometown, let them bring their looms over, so that they can work. Yang Kankan has something to do. After finishing it, I was so excited that I didn't even have to think about the night. I just held the thread and went back to tidy it up. Shen Yun couldn't even stop him. I can only go back to the living room alone to watch them study the stones. As soon as Shen Yun entered the room, Shen Chen pulled him out. Yun Yun, this child Jin Long is a bit special. The stone wrapped around the fire crystal just now was a bit difficult for us to do. It fell off with just a slight touch. This child is extremely talented. Do they have any needs at home? What does the child's cultivation mean? Shen Chen whispered to Shen Yun. They were all shocked at that moment. This child's divine power is like this at such a young age. He won't be able to grow up. Is it a gift? What does it mean to come to Shen's house to teach you how to practice cultivation? His elders have already considered this matter for him. I will bring him out to see the world. As for the cultivation, you don't have to worry about it, Shen Yun said with a smile. The Phoenix clan does not need any cultivation techniques at all. There is a way to improve your own strength. As long as you have enough spiritual energy and accumulate it for a certain period of time, you can advance directly. Shen Yun sometimes envied the unique cultivation qualifications of these divine beasts. That's good, that's good. I thought I wouldn't delay the child. Shen Chen felt relieved after hearing this. After the two of them finished speaking, they walked directly towards the room. The stone shells outside the 8 fire crystals had been removed. The temperature was not obvious just now. Now you can clearly feel that the temperature in the room has increased. The few people inside were so hot that they couldn't stop wiping their sweat except for jumping around. Sister, look, this thing is delicious. Xiao Banqi picked up a piece of spar and took a look at it, then took a bite, as if she was eating jelly. "This, golden dragon, you can't eat this, spit it out quickly." The few people nearby were frightened by the little boy's jumping movements. No one was wondering why the crystal was so easy to bite off. The focus of the meeting was on the little boy. On top of the mouthful he swallowed, Shen Yun saw that several people were about to put their hands on Xiaobo's mouth, so he quickly stopped a few people. It's okay, don't panic." "How can we not panic? Xiao Bengqiye doesn't understand, can we understand? After all, Shen Chen is already the father of a child. He still has some concerns about raising children." Now he looks at Shen Yun like it's like looking at people who are making trouble without reason. "It's so delicious." The little one took another bite. This time, the nerves of the two fathers jumped again. The two of them ignored Shen Yun's obstruction and pulled him up. Halfway through, they realized that nothing happened to Xiao Benqi. "Chen Yun, what's going on?" Everyone's eyes were on Shen Yun. As for the little one on the side, he was still a child. Since he liked to eat and had nothing to do, he just ate. He was tired. This thing is in their food. They have been eating it since they were young, but they have never eaten it since they came out with me. How can Shen Yun explain it? He can only blame it on family inheritance. As for whether other phoenixes are not so picky eaters, then she really doesn't know. It's really enlightening. There are still people eating rocks, but this kid seems to be fine. This thing is hot to touch. How could he eat it so calmly? It feels so delicious, I'm even hungry. Shen Hung was beside him. He circled around the little one and said at the end, taking a faint sip of saliva, "Then do you want to take a bite?" Xiao Bengqiye was not stingy and directly raised the crystal in his hand. Shen Hung was so frightened that he immediately jumped back. This thing was so hot that it almost disfigured his face. "Yun Yun, I'm leaving first. It's too hot here. You can take him back to rest." After eating, Shen Hung was the first to leave here. Several others stood and watched for a while and found that nothing happened. He also left. Shen Yun put away the other crystal stones and pulled the gnawing little Bengqiye towards his room. Now that the room could not fit in, the little Bengqiye was unwilling to live with other people, so he could only share a room with Shen Yun. However, the two of them went into the space at night, and Xiao Benda slept in his own spiritual stone nest. Shen Yun was sitting in the room practicing, with a lot of spiritual stones in front of him. Since her bloodline was purified, she has become more and more fond of these shiny things, so she can only bring in some spiritual stones from outside and put them away. The two of them returned to the room and went directly into the space. Little Benqi consciously carried the fire crystal into his nest. "Eat less. This is just a snack. Just a few pieces. Once you finish eating, I don't know where it will be next time." Shen Yun couldn't help but explain. Little Benqi nodded. Seeing her like this, Shen Yun felt relieved. "Go directly out to collect herbs. Today I will give you a foundation building pill, and I need to make up for it. This is what I have already agreed with the Zhang family. There is also the neutralizing medicine that I agreed with Aunt Hu. Although the other party asked me to rest for a few days, there is really nothing to rest for." It was a busy night again. Early the next morning, all the people running outside came back. Shen Liman, who was relatively reserved, saw that Shen Yun was well and couldn't help but hug him into his arms. Huang Ben, who used to work in the police, also came out this year to find someone. They were the last ones to come back. They looked very haggard. After asking about Shen Yun's details, they went to wash up and tidy up. "Yun Yun, have you seen your grandparents when you go back?" Shen Liman asked this question after packing up. "I've gone back. I went back on the first day back. Big brother and the others are also going back today. I just happened to bring Shen Jian over to have a look. I thought about bringing my grandparents over. After all, Beijing is the capital. If I can understand any policies more quickly. Shen Yun shared his thoughts with Shen Liman. This is a good idea. Shen Liman immediately agreed without thinking, but regretted saying it. Life in Beijing is not cheap after all. You can still farm in your hometown, but there is nothing here. It depends on your grandma and the others. Think about it. Let's all go back and see if we can continue to do business. Although we are cultivators, we still have a lot of money to spend. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 265. Chapter 265, 265, come to the door. Don't worry about this. There are more rich people in Beijing. Your business may be better here. After all, business is in a small city. When there is nothing, people are not willing to spend this money, but this is for the rich. It's not a problem for people. Shen Yun comforted him on the side. Besides, if the whole family is together, we can react to whatever happens. If you all go back to your hometown, what will happen to me? Shen Liman was already determined to return to his hometown, but he still hesitated after hearing Shen Yun's last words. What happened this time really frightened him. When he heard about Shen Yun's disappearance, he was frightened at first, and then, he was anxious, and finally felt a little desperate. If he hadn't had the mentality of trying to get the person back even if he died, he really wouldn't have been able to hold on for so long. Think about it. If you go home and leave your child here alone, you won't be able to trust anyone else. For a moment, Shen Liman, who was originally happy, hesitated. Daughter-in-law, what should I do? She cast her eyes on Yang Kankan next to her. What should we do? Go back and ask your parents if they will listen to us after we have made a decision. Let's discuss it at home. The children are all at home. Anyway, I can't let go of any of them now. Yang Kankan also expressed his attitude by saying this. Okay, we can only go home and discuss it, Shen Liman said weakly. He was afraid of dragging down his children here, and he couldn't see his children in his hometown. Could he not understand whether it would be good to develop in a big city? Isn't this too much helplessness? What? Third uncle, we agreed to go back today. Do you want to go together? Shen Yunchen asked the two people. I'm going back. I haven't been back for a long time. It's time for me to go back to work, Huangben said while eating. Go back if you have nothing to do. Shen Heng, you can stay here. If you have no family or mouth, just look at your sister here, Shen Liman decided directly. Okay, let's pack our things. Everyone was even more happy when they heard Shen Liman say this, and they walked excitedly towards the room one by one. Shen Yun looked thoughtfully on the side. Maybe he was forcing them to live here. After all, Beijing was where he had lived for more than 10 years. To them, this was a strange city where all the family business, they are all in that place, and it is indeed difficult to drag the family over to live there. Dad, you go back and tidy up first, and then ask my brother and the others to bring Shen Jian over to have a look. After others have seen it, we will go back to our hometown. Then we will cover a few hills. We will develop well in our hometown. As for the capital city, it's not far away anyway. You can come over if you have anything to do, and you can do your work there anyway. At this moment, Shen Yun changed his decision. Is this okay? Shen Yun made a decision, while several others hesitated. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it, Shen Yun nodded. When he develops well in Baiyun village, he will definitely attract more people to go there, and they may not necessarily stay in the capital. As for how to report to the superiors, I believe that the things I have produced are enough to illustrate my importance, and then these things will not be a problem. After deciding, they packed their luggage and left without hesitation. Shen Yun gave Shen Liman the 200 yuan he had just received yesterday in his pocket. Yun, you three take good care of yourselves here. I'll take the silk threads you gave me and knit them for you. Your grandma's skills are better than mine, so don't worry about the things. Don't be impulsive if anything happens here, at home. And mom and dad, although we don't have much ability, we can help you when things happen, Yang Kankan said while holding Shen Yun's hand uneasily. Don't worry, I won't go anywhere for a while. I will just stay well in Beijing and nothing will happen, Shen Yun said soothingly. Then let's go, Shen Heng, take care of your sister and Jin Long, Shen Liman said, and got on the train directly. Several other people said hello and followed. Let's go home. Watching the train go away, Shen Yun greeted the two people around him. Back at home, Shen Yun asked Shen Heng to take care of Xiao Benqi at home, and went out directly. He agreed to make an appointment with the doctors, but he hadn't gone yet. The old doctors who worked at the Alchemy Research Institute before were all experts at the national medical level. Now that they are old, they don't see many patients anymore. However, they left their addresses before, and Shen Yun planned to visit each house. The first thing we came to was a large courtyard house. Hello, I'm looking for Mr. Zhang, Shen Yun said politely to the person who opened the door. Do you have an appointment? The young man at the gate was stunned for a moment when he saw that it was a beautiful girl who was looking for his grandfather, but he was a very principled person. I made an appointment with Mr. Zhang, Mr. Qian, and Mr. Chu a year ago, but something has delayed me. Can you help convey it? Just ask Shen Yun to see you. Shen Yun was very polite. Although these old people have no cultivation level, but he has studied medicine for a lifetime and deserves everyone's respect. Okay, wait a moment. The young man felt Shen Yun's aura and found that he couldn't feel it. He directly pointed to the stool at the door for Shen Yun to sit on, then turned around and ran towards the room. Shen Yun looked at the specially modified door, and then at the many chairs placed on the porch. It seemed that many people came here to seek medical treatment. Shen Yun sat patiently on a chair next to him. After a while, I saw the young man running back. My grandpa invites you in. When Shen Yun entered, he saw an old man treating someone. The patient still looked a bit familiar, so Shen Yun didn't bother him. He nodded and stood aside waiting. The entire consulting room was very quiet, with only the sound of the old man asking questions. Shen Yun also heard it from the side and realized that as he got older, his body energy was not as good as when he was young. Your disease is said to be easy to cure. If you rest for half a year and take a few medicines, you will be fine. But you can't rest in this condition, so the medicine won't have much effect. After checking the pulse, Mr. Zhang did not prescribe any medicine. Medicine, he said directly to the old man in front of him with a dark face. Although he understood this man's work situation, he could not show a good face towards patients who did not follow the doctor's instructions. Hey, old Zhang, you also know that things are very busy now, so there is no time to take a break of half a year. A day or two is too much, the man said with a bitter smile. I don't believe there is anyone else but you. When I am in charge of my own affairs, I cannot leave things to others. Then I guess I can't cure your situation. You can ask the girl behind you if there is anything you can do. Mr. Zhang pointed directly at Shen Yun. Shen Yun did not expect that this matter would happen to him. Is there any way I can do it? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 266. Chapter 266, 266, Donating Medicine. I do not know how. Seeing the familiar old man opposite turn his head, Chen Yun felt that his face must have been full of panic at that time. He only knew how to make alchemy, and even saving a few people was a special situation. Counting on himself, it was only occasionally reliable. After all, he was not a professional. Taking a deep breath, Mr. Zhang, I'm not a doctor. I really can't handle this situation. Hey, young people say it's not good, come and take a look, don't limit yourself so much, we want multiple developments, look at the one you made, isn't it also related to medicine? Mr. Zhang said seriously there. Shen Yun calmed down for a second, and then walked over. Let me show you the disease records. Mr. Zhang saw Shen Yun coming over and handed a stack of information to Shen Yun directly. Shen Yun could only open the information under the expectant eyes of the two people. It was not a big problem. After all, the bodies of leaders like this were cared for by dedicated personnel. However, the smaller the problem, the more difficult it was to treat it. After all, people were here. Some geriatric diseases are unavoidable at a certain age, and they all need to be taken good care of. It is quite simple for Shen Yunlei to just take a pill to strengthen the foundation and cultivate the UN, and the problem will be almost gone. However, if you take out this pill, there will probably be problems later. There are more, after all, there is more than one leader. However, it is unjustifiable not to give medicine. After all, this old man has served the country and the people all his life. Shen Yun really can't bear it. Shen Yun looked back and forth. I really don't know how to see a doctor, but I have medicine, if you dare to take it. What he said is quite scary. He can still prescribe medicine without knowing how to see a doctor. To others, it would be more nonsense. However, although this leader has never met Shen Yun himself, he has seen it in some information and knows. There were some things about this girl that she didn't fall out with on the spot. Tell me what kind of medicine it is. Both of them looked at Shen Yun curiously, and Mr. Jiang's eyes gleamed. Shen Yun did not hesitate, and directly took out a bottle of strengthening the origin pill from his backpack. This was something he had learned while brushing up his proficiency. He still had several bottles in his own space. If there was any specific effect, that's really not the case. For people who are weak or who are just recovering from a serious illness, it is best to take this. It is definitely much better than the Shiquan tonic. He took a cup from Mr. Jiang's table and poured one into it. Please take a look. Shen Yun directly handed the elixir to Mr. Jiang, who was next to him, who was eager to try it. It's a good thing. I feel so clear-headed when I smell it. It has a strong medicinal fragrance that sticks to it. It's a good thing. Mr. Jiang took it happily. He first went up to smell it, and then carefully scraped it off with something. Stuffed it directly into the mouth, and then kept praising, "This is good medicine is rare, this girl is honest. This pill is an elixir. You are lucky today. You old boy are very lucky." After talking to Shen Yun, he didn't forget to praise the old man next to him. The old man Danyao knew that this was a secret project, and not many people knew about it. Mr. Zhang also studied it for a while, but quit because he was not suitable for cultivation. It seems that this girl was the one who guided it at that time. This value is great. Although this girl works in a special department, this thing is a personal thing after all, so it is not appropriate to take it. If you buy it, your salary may not be enough. I can't eat this, old Zhang, you should give me some medicine. After thinking about it for a moment, the old man waved his hand and looked at Mr. Zhang aside. Hey, I'm saying you, a guy like you, don't eat good food, but insist on taking the bitter concoction I prescribed for you. Are you getting dizzy? Mr. Zhang asked in confusion. Shen Yun thought. He really couldn't say anything right now, otherwise he would either be flattering or flattering, and his good intentions would lead to bad things, but there is always a way to do things. I practiced this elixir, but not many people have taken it. One reason I came here this time was to ask you, Mr. Zhang, to show me what happened to my brother, and the other reason was to ask Mr. Zhang. Show me the value of this medicine. My family has a difficult life. I want to make a living on this medicine in the future. Can you help determine the effect? Shen Yun said sincerely and humbly, and then took the medicine in his hand. He handed over the bottle, which contained 9 intermediate-level strengthening pills. Mr. Jiang immediately glanced at Shen Yun. This girl was quite clever. He directly stated his purpose. As for whether it is true or not, it doesn't matter. Once the medicine is in his hands, if he wants to see the effect, he must test the medicine. As for who to give it to, that is his own business. Then I'm not welcome. Just wait for me. I've called a few old guys over. I'll take over your brother's affairs. I will definitely do my best when the time comes, Mr. Jiang said with a smile and took it directly. Shen Yun took the things in his hands, and then asked his grandson waiting outside to call someone. Thank you, Mr. Jiang. Shen Yun quickly thanked him. As for what he just said, these people must be able to see it. Don't worry about the rest, just do good things for the country. When the rest of the people come over, they can stuff a bottle in each person and finish the job. They are all imperial doctors and know how to do it. The leader sitting here was kept silent for a long time by the singing of Shen Yun and the others. Okay, Lao Jiang, since you won't prescribe medicine, then I'm leaving. Let's go to your house for dinner tonight. Mr. Jiang waved his hand, showing no intention of leaving anyone behind. As a doctor, he never left anyone behind. The leader was speechless for a moment, and then walked out in a well-educated manner. You walk slowly, I wish you a speedy recovery. Shen Yun thought he had choked someone just now. Please say some lucky words. This girl is right, she can talk better than my grandson. Mr. Jiang turned around and praised Shen Yun. As soon as the two of them said a few words, someone came in from outside. It's such a hot day. I said I called you here for something. If you don't tell me 1, 2, or 3 today, I will have to come to your house today. Before the person came in, the voice came in. What are you talking about in front of this junior? Mr. Jiang said politely. As soon as the other party came in, he saw the young Shen Yun standing in the room. He couldn't remember whose descendant this was for a while. After thinking for a long time, an idea suddenly came to him. Shen Yun, you are Shen Yun, right? Did you go into seclusion? Are you back? The other party said cheerfully. Mr. Chu, I haven't seen you for a long time. I came here to trouble you when I got back. One is about the elixir, and the other is about my brother. I don't know if you have time. I would like to ask you to consult me in 2 days. Shen Yun was polite. Said. Yes, I'm retired now. If I have anything else to do, I just stay at home all day long. Mr. Chu was very happy when he heard that Shen Yun came to him for medical treatment. Thank you. Then as soon as Shen Yun finished speaking, several old people from Shen's family came over. Shen Yun talked about the elixir and Shen Jian's affairs again, and several people agreed. Then he was directly given a bottle of strengthening the origin and Pe-Wen pill to each person. There were 6 bottles in stock in the space, and 5 bottles were taken away directly. Several people were shocked by Shen Yun's generosity. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 267. Chapter 267, 267, Fiancé. This, one for each person is enough, Mr. Qian said hesitantly. How can you see the effect from one pill? This is a problem for you, Shen Yun said with a smile. Then we're not welcome. Several people looked at each other and put the medicine directly into their pockets. Don't worry, this matter will definitely be solved for you. We all hope to see good things on the market. Several people made promises. Okay, I'll bring people directly to Jiang's home in 5 days, and I'll trouble you then. Okay, we'll definitely come over early then, several people responded. Shen Yun didn't stay here too long. He declined Mr. Jiang's offer to have a meal and left directly. I walk slowly on the streets of Beijing. I haven't been back for a year, and the whole city has changed a lot. It is more prosperous and lively, and it is more tolerant. Shen Yun went directly back to the dormitory where he lived before. There were some things he had left here before, but I don't know if they have been taken back. Fortunately, when Shen Yun got there, he could still open the key with the key in his hand. She went straight in and packed her things. She didn't stay too long. Since she wasn't going to live here in the future, she couldn't occupy this place. "Hey, who are you? Who asked you to enter this room?" Shen Yun was closing the door when he heard a female voice shouting from behind. He turned around and took a look. There was no one around, so he said it was him. "The people living around here are all people from the special department. Shen Yun has never seen this person before. I'm going back to my home, do I need to say hello to you?" Shen Yun replied, putting the keys away and preparing to leave. "Your own home? Don't flatter yourself. I have lived here for more than a year, and this is the dormitory of another department. You are not ashamed to say that this is your home." The woman walked over in two steps, pointed directly at Shen Yun and said, seeing Shen Yun's appearance clearly, his face became even more disgusting. "You're pretty good looking, but why do you do such shameful things?" Pa Shen Yun knocked off the finger pointing at him. "Speak as you say, no personal attacks no matter what, you can live here, but I can't. Could it be that this department belongs to you? Don't be so shameless. It's not from my family. Could it be from yours? My boyfriend is in charge of this department. Let me tell you clearly. I have already scouted this house. Don't rely on good looks. I thought I could live in such a house, but I don't know which slum girl you are from. I have never heard of someone like you in Beijing." The woman was slapped on the hand by Shen Yun, and she was about to slap her in anger. Shen Yun dodged for a moment and was staggered by the woman. Then he started uttering bad words. Shen Yun was still wondering who dared to be so arrogant here. He didn't know that it was Yan Han's girlfriend. Then he didn't do his job well. He got his target to the special department. He didn't have any cultivation at all. Could it be that he was in logistics department? Shen Yun thought so in her heart, but she didn't look good when she was scolded for no reason. Even if your target is Yan Han, you can't scold people at will, otherwise don't blame me for being rude, Shen Yun warned. "You're not welcome, how about showing me what to do?" The woman rubbed her wrists and said provocatively, "If you dare to do something today, I will make it impossible for you to survive in Beijing." What a loud tone. No one has ever said this to me. I want to see it. Shen Yun was ready to teach her a lesson. Hey, Liai, what nonsense are you talking about? If you make it difficult for anyone to survive in Beijing, it would be great if your family has a little money, right? Do you know who this is? You are just talking nonsense here. Su Ling went out and said, seeing this woman who stayed with his brother in the dormitory area speaking loudly. When she saw clearly who was opposite, she was sweating for this idiot woman. Only Shen Yun has a good temper, otherwise this woman it has long since disappeared. Seeing that he was an acquaintance, Shen Yun put away his raised hand and nodded towards Su Ling. "Long time no see. Long time no see. I feel relieved to see you well." Su Ling was also very happy to see Shen Yun, but she felt a headache when she saw the unhappy in front of her. "Su Ling, don't come here to teach me a lesson because you are an old man in the department. My brother's status is higher than yours. The marriage between my family and the Yan family is inevitable. Yan Han is my fiancé." Why did this woman sneak into the room next to Yan Han? What's going on? I've already told you, this place will be my room from now on. What's going on with you? Liai was very dissatisfied with Su Ling's attitude. This woman had been arrogant before, but she dared to scold her in front of outsiders. Who is in front of you? You can tell by looking at his clothes that he is a high achiever. Su Ling laughed angrily at this woman. She still regarded the present as the past. Her family had some status, so the sky was high. Even if her father came over and saw Shen Yun, he would be polite to her. Don't talk about her. She was so embarrassed. My family is used to it. Whose fool is this? Yan Han's fiancé is like this. I haven't seen him for a year. Is he blind? Or something happened to their Yan family? They want to find such a person. If he takes him home, he will bring disaster to the family. Ye Shenyun couldn't help but complain to Su Ling in front of the other party. Hearing this, Su Ling couldn't help but burst into laughter. Our minister Yan has a good eye, but now he is still the flower of the high mountain that has not been plucked. This one is just a self-proclaimed one. As for whose family it belongs to, who is it? It's not that poor guy Li Ming. Although Su Ling didn't speak loudly, she heard everything that should be heard. Li Ai suddenly became so angry that he became a puffer fish. Li Ming's family, Li Ming is not like this, is this? Stepsister Su Ling gestured with her lips. Shen Yun understood immediately, and he could figure it out. But why does she live here? His brother was so crowded that he couldn't live in it, so he went directly to the mission. Su Ling said in a low voice. You are going too far. Just wait and see if I don't let you look good. Li Ai saw that Shen Yun and Su Ling didn't take her seriously. He was so angry that he walked out of the alley angrily. You only call parents when children quarrel. It's so childish. You still think of Minister Yan. I don't know who gave you the courage, Su Ling said narrowly from behind. Are you careful to make people angry and come to trouble us? Shen Yun said with a smile. Are you afraid of it? Afraid? I'm afraid there are too few people coming to his house and he won't be able to bear my rejection. The voices of both of them were loud, and the person in front suddenly staggered in anger. Li Ai heard the laughter from behind, and his face became deformed with anger. He looked back and said, two bitches, just wait, what's so great about cultivators? End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 268. Chapter 268, 268, Messaging Talisman. Sister Yun, I heard the news a few days ago that you are back. I have been looking for you these days, but I haven't had time. I didn't expect to meet you today. Didn't you move into your own house? How come you have time to come here? Su Ling saw the person leaving and turned to look at Chen Yun. I came back to get something. Who knew this fate, and being scolded as a fox is also a recognition of my beauty. Shen Yun laughed and joked to himself, that Li Ai just now was very beautiful, since when she said this about herself, it meant that she was more beautiful than her. She was so busy that she really didn't notice the change in her appearance. Haha, Sister Yun, you are indeed prettier than that woman. Su Ling also praised her without hesitation. Thank you for the compliment. Where are you going? Shen Yun asked casually when he saw Su Ling dressed up nicely. I'm just going out for a walk. Su Ling felt shy when Shen Yun asked. Shen Yun smiled knowingly. He had never eaten pork before and had seen pigs run away. Okay, you go and do your work. It's your business that won't delay you. Come to my house for dinner someday when you have time. Okay, let's make an appointment when we have time. The two people said a few words here and separated immediately. As for Li Ai's threat just now, Shen Yun didn't take it seriously because he couldn't stay in the capital anymore. He had originally planned to leave this place. Looking at the condition of the family members of the special department now, Shen Yun made up his mind to leave. Although I am very sensible, I can't bear to encounter a few people who are not clear-headed that day. Then I won't be the only one who will be angry. Shen Yun originally planned to go home, but this time he turned around and walked towards the special department. He had better tell Yan Han in advance that he wanted to go back to his hometown. He also had to submit an application form, which was quite troublesome. When they arrived at the place, Yan Han was busy. You go first, I'll borrow 2 pieces of paper to write something. Shen Yun greeted, looked at the paper handed over and took it directly. I found a place nearby and wrote my application for transfer out of Beijing. Looking for me? Chen Yun raised his head and saw Yan Han looking over here. Although his face looked cold, he looked really good. No wonder the little girl liked it. I just went to the dormitory and I happened to meet you. My fiancé, Shen Yun joked. Fiancé, Yan Han frowned when he heard Shen Yun say this, obviously a little confused. Yes, she is a pretty girl, but she has a bad temper and is a bit jealous. Shen Yun nodded and said, here, this is my application, take a look. Yan Han did not continue to ask what was going on with his fiancée who appeared out of thin air, but looked at what Shen Yun handed over. You have to leave the capital. Yan Han's frown deepened. Yes, after what happened this time, my family is worried. Anyway, you can practice anywhere, and it's not just the capital city that needs supervisors. My hometown also needs supervisors. It just so happens that I go back, Shen Yun explained. Road. But do you understand that your development will be better in Beijing? Although Yan Han understands, he doesn't agree. He has been independent since he was a child and cannot understand what it is like for such an old man to still be with his family. What I am pursuing now is to improve my strength. As for the things in Beijing and the city, won't you let me serve in the special department and supervisor when I return to my hometown? Shen Yun asked with a smile. Then have you put down all the things you have owned in Beijing for more than 10 years? What do I have in Beijing? Don't talk about it like life and death. At my current speed, I can get to Beijing in 10 minutes and half an hour. In the future, the speed will only be faster. In addition, communication is now more convenient. Just contact me directly if you have any questions. Shen Yun saw the other party becoming more and more serious as he asked, and quickly interrupted. I'll give you 3 days to think about it. If you decide, I'll hand this over. Yan Han looked at Shen Yun's firm attitude, and finally swallowed his words of dissuasion. Okay, Shen Yun nodded. By the way, I'll give you the key back. Quickly arrange it for your anxious fiancé. Shen Yun directly put the room key on the table. I don't have a fiancé. I will resolve this matter as soon as possible. Yan Han's face looked disgusting. Shen Yun saw that people were unhappy when he mentioned this matter again, so he stopped talking. Okay, I'll leave this to you. I'll go back first. Shen Yun immediately acted as the boss. Okay, then you go and do your work, but I stress again, I don't have a fiancé. Yan Han's words were quite serious. Chen Yun smiled knowingly, and he was just teasing him. As for whether that woman was Yan Han's fiancé, it would determine his attitude towards her later. If his parents were really called, he would know how to deal with it, but she is Li Ming's sister, so she still needs to say hello to him first. Where is Li Ming on a mission? Do you have anything to do with him? Shen Yun asked again before leaving. Just call him. I really don't know where he is. Yan Han thought for a while and said. Okay, I won't bother you anymore, I'm really leaving now. Shen Yun waved his hand towards Yan Han and walked directly outside. When I went out, I dug into my pocket and found 5 yuan left, which was enough to make a phone call. Shen Yun directly found a public phone and called Li Ming. Hello. The voice from the other side was very low. What's the matter? Did something happen? I'm Shen Yun. Hearing the other party's movements, Shen Yun asked immediately. Help, we are in the mountainous area of southern Anhui province, to the south. The exact location is unclear, but we are now surrounded by a group of big spiders. Li Ming heard Shen Yun speaking and said quickly. Hold on a little longer, and I will get there as quickly as possible. Shen Yun said and hung up the phone. Yan Han had just sat down to prepare for work when he saw Shen Yun appearing in front of him again with a flying sword. What's wrong? It's too late, bring your phone and we'll talk on the way. Shen Yun directly called people over. Yan Han knew that something was urgent as soon as he saw Shen Yun's formation. He grabbed his phone and jumped directly onto Shen Yun's flying sword. Flying high in the sky, Shen Yun had time to talk about what happened. The mountainous area in southern Anhui province is quite large. It will be difficult for the two of us to find it. I will notify my local colleagues to help, Yan Han said and started to make a phone call. Shen Yun lowered his height upon seeing this. Shen Yun also directly took out a piece of yellow paper from his own space, and folded it directly into the shape of a paper crane. Go and tell fourth brother that my colleagues and I went out to do some errands, and ask him not to worry at home and take care of himself and the golden dragon. After Chen Yun finished speaking, he recited a spell, his gestures changed, and he pointed directly, and the paper crane flew out. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 269. Chapter 269, 269, all losers come back to the production line with me. What kind of spell is this? Yan Han had already made a call and was a little curious looking at Shen Yun's movements. The small communication spell is more convenient to use than the phone. Let's talk about this matter after the matter is resolved. We are already at the place. Let's take a good look at their location, Shen Yun explained quickly, and then lowered his voice again. At a high altitude, there are trees everywhere in this mountainous area and it is summer. It is really difficult to find people from above with eyes. Fortunately, Shen Yun's consciousness is very strong. He directly spreads out his consciousness and quickly passes over from above. Some colleagues below have already entered the forest and started looking for people. Li Ming and his team have a total of 6 people, and they are all around the 5th level of Qi training. Since they are surrounded by spiders now, they are probably not ordinary spiders, but there is no data showing that this is a place where spiders like to stay. Yan Han was inspecting and talking about the situation here. Li Ming and the others just came in to see if there was anything special in the mountains and to conduct research on the plants in this place. Now that they have encountered this problem, they are not very lucky. In this day and age, nothing can happen. Maybe the spiritual energy in the mountains and forests is dense, which is why these animals are attracted together. Shen Yun calmly explained that such a situation happened when he encountered a large swarm of bees and smart bees. She had somewhat expected the monkey that had become a sperm. He didn't expect that it would be Li Ming who would encounter this problem again. Thinking about his terrible sister, Shen Yun had a little more sympathy for Li Ming, but it was really unfortunate. In a moment, she saw the spiders below. They were not small spiders, but spiders half as tall as a man. They were attacking around a place that might be a cave. We found a place, be careful. I'll go meet those guys, Shen Yun confessed, directly placed Yan Han on the big tree, and rushed down alone. These spiders below are good things, they are all sky spiders. If this guy is captured, how many days of spider silk will he be able to produce in the future? As for whether this guy grows big, eats a lot, or is ugly, Shen Yun doesn't mind. Shen Yun took the spirit beast bag that he had freed up, grabbed 6 of them and stuffed them into the sky spider before they could react. This time it was like poking an ant's nest. The spider that was originally facing the cave immediately turned its head and aimed at Shen Yun. The sight of dozens of spiders half as tall as a man staring at him was a bit intimidating. If it weren't for the relatively low level of these spiders, Shen Yun would have turned around and ran away this time. Come on, let's have a fight. The loser will follow me back to the production line. Shen Yun directly drew Qing Feng. Before Shen Yun could rush forward, the spider over there took action without any regard for martial ethics. Balls of spider silk spat out. Shen Yun, who originally wanted to hit him directly, hesitated for a moment and started to hide immediately. I saw clusters of white lines on the trees here. Shen Yun happily started to sneak away the spiders. Yan Han, come down and see the people inside. Let me deal with these spiders, Shen Yun shouted and took these things away from here. Each of the spiders ran very fast, as if they had a mortal feud with Shen Yun, but when the spider threads ran out, Shen Yun was almost done waiting. He braked on the spot and turned around to look at the chasing spiders. The strength that had just been suppressed was released directly. The spider who was chasing after him suddenly stopped suddenly, turned around and ran away as if he had seen a ghost. What's going on? Can my current momentum scare away the monsters? Shen Yun thought, but he didn't stop and chased after them. The material supplier couldn't let them escape. After catching dozens of sky spiders into the spirit beast bag, Shen Yun began to collect the spider silk that the spiders had just spit out. This thing was still a little sticky when it was spit out, and the slight toxins that had not been exposed to sunlight would make people dizzy. Shen Yun did not care, and directly found a pair of gloves and picked up all the spider silk hanging on the tree one by one. By the time we got to the cave, we hadn't seen anyone coming out yet. When our consciousness swept away, we saw that several people inside were seriously injured, and some were almost wrapped in spider silk. Shen Yun stopped sharpening his sword outside. It would take a lot of effort to break this spider-like knife. I went into the mountain twice and pulled down the spider silk. Fortunately, the man was fine, so he passed out and woke up when the poisonous sect came out. However, the condition of several other people was not good, and they were all bleeding. I have informed my colleagues outside to come over, and the rescuers will be here soon. I didn't bring anything with me when I came over, so I could only simply treat the wound due to the severe cold. It's okay, they're just minor injuries. Shen Yun, my savior, if you hadn't called me, I would have been really cold this time, Li Ming said with a smile. The injuries in the Shanhe Shiji 2 were worse than this one. Seriously, this little injury is really nothing now. Okay, I saved you twice, you can't repay me with kindness, Shen Yun said pointedly. Am I that kind of person? Li Ming was unconvinced. I know you are not like this. No matter how other people are doing, they will be fine. It's okay, each of them said very harshly, but it was a minor injury that the cultivator could slowly repair using his spiritual energy, which was indeed much faster than before. Okay, Minister Yan, you keep an eye on the people here while I go out and bring the rescuers in. Shen Yun greeted him and went out directly, flying quickly towards the place where he just saw the person. After a while, I saw the rescue team moving at full speed, but if I didn't come over, the other party's direction would be off track. Shen Yun came down directly to say hello, and took a dozen people to the nearest road. After the others were carried out of the cave, Shen Yun picked up the spider silk that he had just dropped. What do you want this for? Yan Han asked doubtfully. Good thing, if the country is willing to raise this group of spiders, you can exchange the spider silk with me for mustard seed storage bags in the future, Shen Yun said directly. You mean this thing can be used as a mustard seed storage bag? Yan Han became serious now. He looked at the spider silk in Shen Yun's hand carefully. It seemed to be no different from ordinary silk thread. He didn't expect that this thing was still a treasure. Okay, I'll arrange for someone to come over when I get back. Since there are dozens of them here, there will definitely be more. Yan Han nodded. Okay, let's go back to the capital after we send the people out, Shen Yun said, looking at the people in front of him. Okay, this mountain forest covers a large area, so as not to have any other unpredictable things appear again, the severe cold responded. However, Shen Yun estimated that this possibility was unlikely. After all, monsters have territorial awareness. If the sky spider appears here, nothing else will appear. Even though they knew this, the two people still sent the person safely to the outside. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 270. Chapter 270, 270, What kind of on-site teaching are you doing? After finishing the work here, the two of them went back to the capital without any delay. Wait a minute, don't leave. After sending the people to the place, Shen Yun wanted to leave, but was stopped by the severe cold. Is there anything else? Would you like to teach me about the communication talisman? Let's wait until tomorrow. Call some more people and teach them all at once. Let's deal with the spider issue today. Okay, Yanhan nodded. Shen Yun waved his hand. Now he was really leaving. By the time Shen Yun returned home, both of the family members had had dinner. Sister, why don't you take me with you when you go out to play? As soon as Xiao Bengqian saw Shen Yun coming back, he immediately came over and climbed on top of Shen Yun. It was so annoying. He originally felt that Shen Yun had left and wanted to follow him. Who knew that Shen Hong was holding him and wouldn't let go, and he couldn't hit Shen Hong. This time he could only crawl onto Shen Yun's body and whisper into Shen Yun's ear to complain. Shen Yun couldn't help but laugh. I'll definitely take you with me next time I go out. Fourth brother is so unreliable, but if you forgive him, he doesn't know how powerful you are, Shen Yun consoled with a smile. Although I have a lot of inherited memories, I am still a child, so I really like this, and my angry look disappears after a few sentences. Just wait until I show my hand next time and scare him. Hey, you little guy, who are you to scare me? It's like I'm paying for my ancestors to accompany you today. You don't appreciate it, right? Come on, brother, let's talk to you, Shen Hong said. The little one started to resist, and the two of them went out laughing and screaming. Looking at the person who was angry just now, he made peace in a moment. Shen Yun had nothing to say. The child's mood was indeed changeable. After tidying up, I told Shen Hong that Shen Jian had made an appointment to see a doctor. That's good. See more doctors. This will increase the chance of waking up. Shen Hong was a little excited when he heard that the matter had been weighing on his heart. He was more anxious than anyone else. This matter started from the beginning. Because of himself, if he hadn't been captured by the people from the spirit mine, nothing would have happened next. Now that he had a clue, he had expectations in his heart. Yes, I think so too. After all, I didn't know when I was promoted to nascent soul. Now Shen Jian's injury is gone, but he still can't wake up. Maybe he needs some external help, but his brain, you also know that this thing is a delicate organ, and novices like us will definitely not dare to touch it. We can only see if these professional doctors have a good solution. Yes, Shen Hong agreed with Shen Yun's statement. By the way, get up and join me tomorrow morning to learn the messenger talisman, which is the paper crane I sent back today, Shen Yun explained again. By the way, I was just about to tell you this. This paper crane was so amazing that it actually came to me and started talking. I took it apart and took a look at it. There was nothing strange about it. How did it talk? Shen Hong's face was full of curiosity, holding the yellow paper that Shen Yun used to fold the paper crane. You will know when you go to learn it tomorrow. This is a very simple thing. Learn it hard. By the way, how are you learning the talisman for refining space mustard seeds? Is there anything you don't understand? Shen Yun asked with concern. Yes, then Shen Hong explained what he was confused about, and Shen Yun answered it again. It was considered the end of the day, and everyone went back to their respective rooms. Shen Yun and Xiao Banqi went directly into the space to start practicing. Early the next morning, the three of them gathered in the living room. I've made breakfast. Let's go there after dinner. Shen Hong had already brought the meal over. Oh, it's time to eat. The little jumper rushed to the dining table like a joy. As for Shen Yun, it doesn't matter whether he eats it or not, he is used to it anyway. The three of them walked directly towards the special department after eating. Shall we study here today? I'm not an employee there, can you let me listen? Shen Hong stood at the door, hesitant. Who do you think is teaching this thing today? It's your sister and me, otherwise I can let you come over, Shen Yun replied with a smile. Let me tell you, why is my sister so powerful? She knows everything, Shen Hong said proudly. Shen Yun's mind moved. It seemed that what he had done recently was a bit high profile. His family members had noticed it. Others probably had doubts as well, but it was hard to ask. A gentleman is not guilty, but he is guilty of carrying a treasure. He still needs to improve his own strength, and the strength of his family members must also improve. Don't let yourself have any weaknesses. Let's go in. Shen Yun didn't say anything and just pulled the little jumper forward. There were a lot of people in the special department today. Shen Yun saw the flow of people walking in the same direction and followed them. Those who came here are all cultivators, and they should have come here to learn some communication talismans. When we arrived at the place, we found that it was a large auditorium, and almost all the people were seated in it. "Brother, what are you doing?" Shen Hong had already asked someone. "Don't you know that yesterday, Minister Yan notified everyone who has no assignments in Beijing and nearby areas to come over to hold an important meeting to learn something? Didn't you come here early this morning? What is going on with you? You just came from other places. Are you back?" What a coincidence. The other party was quite talkative. Hearing Shen Hong ask this, he immediately explained the matter clearly. He probably wouldn't have thought that anyone from outside would dare to come to the special department to take classes. "Yes, it happened by chance. Thank you for letting me know. You go in first." Shen Hong quickly thanked him with a guilty conscience. Looking at the other person entering, he walked over and said, "Yun, there are so many people in class here, are you nervous? How about I go in first and go in with you later? I'm afraid I will be nervous." "Okay, will you follow me or fourth brother?" Shen Yun asked the little Benki next to him. "I'll play with my fourth brother." Xiao Benkie made a choice immediately. Then Shen Yun saw the two of them entering and attracted everyone's attention. After all, it was rare to see people taking their children to work. It would be no exaggeration to say that Shen Hong, who could hold a child, attracted everyone's attention. The original plan of keeping a low profile was in vain. Shen Yun looked at Shen Hong's confused look outside and couldn't help but laugh. "Hey, Shen Yun, are you here to take advantage of the class? Why don't you go in? You're embarrassed, right? I heard it from Lao Yan. This time, a very powerful person came to teach us a technique." Liang Shan, when he came in, he saw Shen Yun standing at the door. Thinking about being a colleague and having just taken advantage of him, Liang Shan went up to say hello thoughtfully. Shen Yun was really not embarrassed, but after hearing what Liang Shan said, she realized that Yan Han had blown her so hard, and she was really a bit embarrassed. Thinking about the way these guys looked at her after entering, Shen Yun just felt that this time my suggestion yesterday was a bit ridiculous. If I just record a video and that's it, why should I do live teaching? End of this chapter.